God,
grant me the serenity
to accept the things I cannot change,
the courage to change the things I can,
and the wisdom to know the difference.
In this edition of Overcoming Addiction, we will focus on the potential of bringing the Bridge Recovery Center to Malden. Tonight's guests are State Senator Jason Lewis and recovery coach and pastor of 7 Mile Road Church, Dan Coe. Together, we can make a difference. Here's your host, Paul Hammersley.
And this month, we're going to focus on potentially bringing the Bridge Recovery Center to Malden. And my guest with me tonight are State Senator Jason Lewis and pastor of 7 Mile Road Church and recovery coach Dan Coe. Dan, very nice to have you.
Paul,
sir.
it's great to
How
be
are
with you and Dan.
Yep. So we have the senator here, and we are potentially talking about bringing a recovery center right here to Malden that could serve. You know, I think it's 12 communities. Mm-hmm. Dan, could you just respond a little on the 12 communities?
Yeah, well, we saw a need just north of Boston for a recovery center. And in the 12 communities that we were researching, there was a high density of opioid-related overdose deaths. And we said, well, there's no peer-to-peer help here. There's nothing that's actually combating this number rising over the years. And so we said, hey, we got to do something. And I know you did a little bit of research and went around to different recovery centers and realized there's a problem here. So yeah, we decided, okay, it's time now to figure out if we can bring a peer-to-peer recovery center to Malden.
And how that process started was MORE, Massachusetts Organization Addiction and Recovery, they called for a meeting. And they had asked myself if I could bring Mayor Christensen, Police Chief Molis, over to their meeting on the importance of recovery centers and what they could do here in the North Shore. And John McGahan from the Gavin Foundation was presenting his model on the recovery center, and Mayor Christensen was very interested in that model. So we had asked John to come back to the mayor's office, and we talked to him in the process he went through, and he had asked us then to go over to South Boston to the Divine Recovery Center, and we did that. And you know, what we saw was amazing. It was 11:30, 12 o'clock, and there was already 50 people signed in. It's amazing work that John is doing, and you know, people need a place to go. Yeah. Fresh out of detox, and the recovery center seems to be the way to go. It's really helping a lot of people, and that's where State Senator Jason Lewis got involved. We have the mayor had asked me to talk to you, and you have been our champion at your level, and we are just so happy and proud to sit at the table with you and just thank you for all the work you do on this topic. Yeah. And I can't thank you enough, but sir, it's very nice to have you here.
Well, thank you so much, Paul and Dan. It's great to be on the show with you, and more important than that, it's a privilege for me to work with you and with Malden Overcoming Addiction, because you just do God's work. I mean, it really is. I'm so inspired and impressed every day by the work you're doing here in the city of Malden. Yeah. You're literally saving people's lives, you know, and it's our sons, it's our daughters, it's our friends, it's our neighbors. You know, addiction touches everyone. Right. Everyone is susceptible to addiction. It's a disease, you know, and it's a deadly disease, and it's a chronic illness. And we need people who are suffering from addiction. They need help. You know, they need treatment, and then once they've gotten detox and treatment, they need a recovery community to support them in staying sober. And that's where I think your vision for a peer-to-peer recovery center, where those who are in recovery help others who are newly in recovery, is a great model. It works. You know, we've seen it work in other places. It started in Massachusetts, first in the country, but now it's expanding around the country. But we don't have anything like that, not just in Malden, right, as you said, but in the whole region.
That's right.
The closest recovery centers are in South Boston and in Lawrence.
That's right.
And we need something closer. So I'm just really pleased and excited to work with you and with the mayor and other organizations in the community to hopefully bring a peer-to-peer recovery center here to Malden.
Yeah. So the purpose of tonight's show, I just want to inform people on exactly where we're at maybe the process we might have to go through, what we have to look at to get to where we want to be. So we have myself and Dan, and I can't say enough about Mayor Christensen. He is on top of this with us. He is really, every step of the way, the administration has just been with us, guiding us. And we have located a spot. We have our financial papers in order. We have a whole plan on what it's going to look like. We have partners, and that's where we need you. We need the funding. So if you want to just explain a little bit on what that might look like, just so folks understand right where we're at.
Well, sure. So, you know, recovery centers, there's 10 altogether, right, at this point across Massachusetts. We mentioned the 2 that are closest. They all operate in slightly different ways in terms of who operates them and exactly how they're funded. But one thing they typically have in common is that they almost all of them do get some funding from the state's Department of Public Health, known as the DPH. And typically the DPH provides you know, roughly $300,000, $350,000 each year, which is the lion's share of the budget. You know, to operate a peer-to-peer recovery center, you know, we're not talking about millions and millions of dollars to do that. You're talking about something around, you know, $500,000, right, to provide all the services and the programming.
Right. It's about $450,000.
$450,000.
Right.
So, you know, which is not millions and millions, but nevertheless, it's still $450,000.
That's right.
So you got to come
That's
up
a
with
lot
that.
of money.
So the program that the Department of Public Health has had now for a number of years is, as I said, about $350,000. So what we are working towards is to try to provide additional funding to the Department of Public Health from the state budget so that the Department of Public Health can expand the program, and that way they can add more peer-to-peer recovery centers into the program, because we're not looking to obviously take away the money from another center. We want to add and provide more options for people, particularly obviously in our community. So the good news is that thanks to the efforts of our state representatives in Malden, Representative Donato and Altrino and Representative Brodeur, the House of Representatives, their the state budget for the next fiscal year, which starts in July, has an additional $1 million actually for peer-to-peer recovery centers, and which is great news because the state budget is very tight.
And is that going in, or is that proposed?
So that's in the final version of the House budget. So that
still
is
has
in
to
there.
pass.
So what has to happen next is the state Senate now in May has to debate the budget, because the House goes first, then the Senate. So what we're going to be looking to do in the state Senate is make sure that there's at least $1 million of additional funding, you know, for peer-to-peer recovery centers, because we want to at least match the House budget, and or even try to do better.
Right.
And then what will happen after that in June, the House and the Senate have to work together to reconcile their budgets, because there will be differences between them. But the goal is to come out of this at the end of June with a final budget that will go to Governor Baker, and which would include additional new funding for peer-to-peer recovery centers in the DPH budget. And that we will know for sure by the end of June, the status. But we're hopeful, we're certainly cautiously optimistic that we can do that. The challenge is this, that the budget is so tight and there's so many needs, you know, we have across so many different areas. But this is definitely a priority for me and for the Representative Altrino and Donato and Brodeur, and you know, for the good work you're doing and all of the advocates to make sure that this is a priority.
And if that does go in, say July, it does pass. The next step, it's going to be a competitive step, correct? Other areas of the state are going to try to pool in. So then, from what I understand, we'll have to go through an application process, and you know, hopefully someone at DPH, from what I understand, they're going to look at the state and where they see the need. And I know firsthand, because I don't have it with me, but you know, Malden, Everett, Revere, Somerville, Cambridge, Winthrop, that the numbers are really high on our overdose.
Sadly.
Yes, it's really high. So someone will then determine at DPH, when that money is there, where they feel that that center should go, and that's where
That's right. It is. We can assume that if DPH has additional money in their budget, the Department of Public Health, that they will then issue a request for proposals for organizations that want to open and operate a peer-to-peer recovery center in the community to submit applications. So that's when Malden Overcoming Addiction, with the support of the delegation and the mayor and all the surrounding communities that we're working to make sure everyone's on board, would submit our proposal. And yes, we would have to probably compete against some other, not that we want them to lose, but we have to make the case for our needs in this area, and that's our job to do that. And I think the great work that you've been doing, and all the legwork that's being done, and on all the preparation and the analysis you're doing, and preparing the budget, and building the community support, is going to make a big difference, I think, in presenting a strong proposal to DPH.
And that's where I got to publicly thank you for just bringing in some of the partners and the key leaders in our community to say, hey, this is an issue. Can you listen, and can you hear it out, and can you support? And you've done an amazing job of making sure the right people are around the table so that we can have a chance at bringing a recovery center here.
Well,
so thank you so much
for saying that. I'm doing a small part of helping open some doors, but you guys are running through those doors, and you're making sure that District Attorney Marion Ryan is a great champion. She's on board. Cambridge Health Alliance is on board. Mayor DiMaria in Everett is on board. Making sure that all of these folks understand what the purpose is, what the value is, and how many, what a difference this can make in many people's lives, and so that's great.
So Dan, on what the senator was just talking about with Mayor DiMaria and Marion Ryan, so I want to turn to you, because you've been a champion, Dan, in the preparation for the presentation that Senator Lewis has been setting us up with, taking us out and around. Why don't you talk a little bit about how you put that together, the need, just talk about the whole Bridge Recovery Center, the preparation and where we go, and the people we're trying to reach and why.
Yeah, so it's a big task. So, you and I, you came up with the dream and said, hey, what if we did this, and what if we went after it? And we said, okay, let's try to figure out what that looks like. And so we built a roadmap of, okay, that means we need to understand our people, the situation. We need to make sure everybody else understands the dire need of this epidemic, specifically here. And then we said, okay, then what's our plan? Are we gonna do something other than peer-to-peer recovery centers? No, we're gonna do peer-to-peer recovery centers because we saw its success. And so we said, we need a peer-to-peer recovery center. That's successful. We need to train up recovery coaches so that we can have peer-to-peer recovery. And through that, we said, okay, it's not just Paul and Dan and some other members of Malden Overcoming Addiction, making this thing run. We need partners, especially in our community around Malden. The YMCA, different businesses like, 3MG, or a computing company, or, a church like 7 Mile Road, or, Cambridge Health Alliance, or, Catalian. We just need as many partners as possible to make this effort as strong as possible.
And what will those partners bring? Talk a little bit about, Cambridge Health Alliance. Obviously, the piece they're going to bring. So some folks might not understand what a peer-to-peer recovery center actually means. So, when the person is looking for a place to go after the 5 or 6 day detox, and they don't have anywhere to go, they go back home, and they're in the same situation they were in, just they're not using, and everyone has had it with them. The people that they already left 5 short days ago still don't believe them. They're not feeling like they have much of anything going on. They have nowhere to go, so the odds are pretty much stacked against them. So what the peer-to-peer recovery center could bring is a place for all folks to come, can be around each other, where everyone's the same, trying to recover, and it's not just going to be a hangout. What we're offering is resume building, computer classes, a wellness program. And I want you to talk a little bit about the partnership. What will Cambridge Health Alliance offer? What will Cataldo Ambulance offer? What will ABCD offer?
Yeah, I think the strengths of the peer-to-peer model is that those that are in recovery are coming alongside those. I mean, those that are a little bit further along in recovery are coming alongside those that are early in recovery, and that sort of symbiotic relationship, just giving to one another, really helps both parties in their recovery journey, right? So those that are early in recovery need somebody that can relate to them. Those that are late in recovery need to feel valuable and that they're giving back and they're actually, helping somebody else, and that really, really helps. And so, as we do that, we know that there's going to be needs, especially people early on in the stage. They're going to need computer training or even job training. How to have an interview.
How to get back into the working class.
How to get back into the regular flow of life. How to build up a spiritual wellness. That's hopefully a 7 Mile Road part. How to get back into shape physically. And so we hope to have yoga classes, maybe a little studio for a fitness studio or something like that, where they can, get well physically. If they need medicated assisted treatment, we can go and
Cambridge
Health Alliance can come
right around
along
the corner,
and they can help with that and bridge the gap there. We are hoping that 3MG could help with photography, give them some skills that maybe they didn't know existed, and they can develop that and feel like they can contribute those kind of things. And so we're hoping through a myriad of partners in our community, so many that I can name, that this recovery center would be a hub, and then we can send them out and say, hey, do you want help in this? We can help you get vehicle assistance or housing assistance or whatever it is.
And that's ABCD as well.
ABCD as well. So we can just launch them out. And
they can bridge the gap with food. They can bridge the gap with housing, fuel assistance,
Right. And we should add too, while folks are in the getting help with job search skills, with wellness and health, they can also be contributing to community service, right? That's another great opportunity to give back to the community as well.
Yeah, that's a big hope of ours, that our recovery center would not just be a bunch of people coming in and then leaving, but that this community would then learn to give back to the community.
And break the stigma as well, because people feel a certain way when this is new and it's coming into their community and people trying to recover. So we directly plan on working with the city or cities and going out, not just in Malden, because we're going to serve Chelsea,
Somerville,
Cambridge,
Medford, Melrose, all these.
And we're working with all these separate cities and towns to actually bring folks in. Like Melrose said that they'll have a drop-off and pick-up to bring to the Bridge Recovery Center. Everett said the same thing. So everybody will get together, whether it's a bike path cleanup, whatever a community might need, painting on a building, we'll just go out together. We'll do things in the community with people just to show everybody that
and it's an amazing opportunity for those early in recovery to say, hey, I want to give back, and I just need the opportunity. I need the chance to do that.
That's right.
And we're giving them the chance to do that, and for the community to benefit from a bunch of people that are just wanting to get back to life and to wholeness.
And the communities that already have recovery centers running are doing that, and their numbers are showing that, whether it's an overdose rate, things are going down in that specific area compared to what they used to be.
I think that's a very important point too, because there may be, some folks who are watching the show right now, or some that we've talked to, who may have some concerns. Well, what does this mean for public safety in the community, and does that impact crime in the neighborhood? And I think it's important to see that these other recovery centers are really, even if there were some concerns at first, that those communities have really embraced them, and in fact they have led to improvement in the quality of life, and fewer individuals who are really suffering from addiction and relapsing, and that's why we've got our police department in Malden is totally supportive of this. We were together, the Melrose police chief, a few weeks ago, and presenting this idea, and he's very supportive. So law enforcement is very supportive, because they recognize this is actually going to make the community safer and improve the quality of life for everybody.
And not just the community, I think family members that are affected by addiction are going to have help. And so we're hoping to have
a resource center.
Resources for parents, brothers, sisters, grandmas, whoever,
There'll
family
be
members.
a room.
Because we know addiction is not just the person's problem.
That's correct.
It's the family's problem.
That's right.
So we're hoping that the family can have resources and have a place to come to get equipped.
So I'm taking phone calls now from from actual people. They're calling me daily. It's coming from the State House. People are referring, and I'd say the last 10 calls I've taken in the past 2 weeks are family members calling about their son, their daughter. And so if the recovery center does come, we're going to have a resource room.
Yeah.
So those people can just come down and go right into the room, and everything will be laid out in front of you on the process, because navigating a detox, navigating the system can be very, very overwhelming when you're dealing with a loved one that is struggling.
Right.
And I mean, we always tell the story of a dad who lost a son.
That's right.
That said, you know what, if my son had a recovery center near him, I believe that he would have had a chance at life.
That's right.
And he passed away. And that's what we're trying to provide. We're trying to provide hope for families that have just come to the end of the road and say, hey, you know what, you can send your son or daughter here, and we will walk alongside them until they grow to health. Yeah.
And you're right, Dan. And just last week, to what the senator was talking about potential safety, people are concerned. So someone had asked me, they weren't really happy with the idea. So they said, that's going to bring people that are using to the community. And my answer simply was, they're already here. They're already here. And to John McGahan's point, John was very specific. People who are using don't want to be around a place where people are not using.
Right.
So when you're doing something like this, there's not that element won't be there. Obviously you could have an issue maybe here or there, but overall, in general, it's for people in recovery, and people that are doing the wrong thing aren't going to hang around there. So
that's the last place they want to be.
that's
right?
correct. And this issue is already in all our communities. It's already here. So we're not bringing it here. We're going to help what's already here.
And help actually to fight this.
That's
epidemic
100%
and,
correct.
Save lives, save families.
Yeah.
And as of yesterday, I don't know if everyone's familiar with something called carfentanil. So it's the elephant tranquilizer, and it has made its way. It's here. We posted there was 3 deaths yesterday in New Hampshire, so it's 40 miles away. So the way the chain of the drug goes, it's heroin and then fentanyl, which is the main issue right now at this time, which is 100 times stronger than heroin.
And you should explain that is what's leading to so many of the overdose.
That's
deaths.
correct.
It's
That's correct.
Fentanyl
And they're
people
mixing
don't
it,
know,
but
it's mixed into the heroin.
now it's even worse because the carfentanil is 50 times stronger than the fentanyl. And this particular drug, you can't even open it in the room, because if you just ingest it, it's fatal. So this is the stuff we're up against, and they're putting it in the heroin. They're not chemists. They don't know what they're doing. They're mixing this stuff up, and they're just selling it, and you don't know. If you're a heroin user, you just don't even know what you're buying anymore. It's got to the point where they're bringing people clean needles in a safe place to use. And we need to do something as a community, as people, and I believe that the recovery center can really make a dent in what I believe that's the answer, along with recovery coaches. And that's the other initiative that we're running. We just graduated 21 recovery coaches last week.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's a big milestone.
That was huge, and we're running another one. I posted it yesterday. So the informational meeting will be on March 9th. We're going to run another academy in June, and we're looking to put another 30 to 50 coaches on. And we're teaming up with the City of Everett. The City of Malden has paid for the first one. When I say the City of Malden, I mean there was a grant from the Malden Police and Malden Fire Department specifically, and now the City of Everett is paying for the next academy. And we're going to partner with them. We're going to run the academy. They'll pay for it. We're going to share back and forth with the coaches. It's a pilot program just to see what this is going to look like, and how many. The bottom line is, I believe we can save lives with this program. So Senator, please tell me your honest feelings. Like, what do you think, how we can go? Like, what should be our next step? Like, where should we go from here, where we're at now?
Well, I think just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, the two of you are just wonderful champions and spokespeople for the cause in general of people struggling with addiction and their families, and helping them to recovery and to move on to productive lives, which is what everyone wants. And You've got a great group at Malden Overcoming Addiction. The events you're doing are terrific. You're really, you're actually attacking the stigma that exists that prevents so many people from seeking treatment, and you're helping to change that. And I think the model you're taking, which is very collaborative, where you're working with people in the community, all the community organizations, you're talking to everyone, you're listening to their concerns, you're considering them, you're being thoughtful, but you're determined, and you're not giving up.
No,
that's a very important quality,
Yeah,
right? Because there's always lots of places where you could say, "That's too hard. It's too hard. I gotta just give up." You're not going to give up, and that's what will get this done. That's what gives me confidence, no matter what the next hurdle is, because there will be. There's going to be challenges. We don't have the funding
100%.
guaranteed, for example. We're going to work as hard as we can, but I know you're not going to give up. You're going to keep, because you're doing such important work, and as long as you stay determined, continue to work in a collaborative way, continue to do the outreach to people in the community. Just not just elected officials and community leaders, but just the residents. Then I'm confident that we can make this happen.
Yeah.
And I'm confident too, and we're going to be running out of time. And I just wanted to say, as far as when you say "don't give up," like we don't understand that term. If this was not to happen, if something does, things do happen, we'll try again next year. I hope that it does happen this year. We're feeling very confident. And I have to mention, everything we've done to this point is straight volunteer work. Nobody gets paid. We are 2 years into this, and the team that we have put together, and I can't say enough about Malden Overcoming Addiction's team and the work that they do. They show up. They continuously show up. Event after event. They're in this room right now. They're working cameras. They're behind the scenes. Everyone's affected some way by this awful disease. So I'm going to just talk a little bit now about some of the options we can offer folks. So if you're hurting and you're in need of assistance, you can go to MaldenOvercomingAddiction.com. The best way to get us is our Facebook page. That's where you can find out all things MOA. We are running a fundraiser, and this is new information. We want you to know that just as of last night, we're going to be running a comedy show fundraiser, because this doesn't happen by itself. We will need to raise some capital. We are going to be looking for some help. It's going to be June 20th at the Irish American. Keep your eye on our Facebook page for that, comedy show / food. And again, if you need help, please just reach out to Malden Overcoming Addiction. We want to thank everybody for watching. Please tune in next month, and we'll just see you then. Again, thank you.
Great. Thank you.